Greetings. Building our toolbox so that we can retake our society and our country. Short and sweet today is going to be a quick review. We started with the Constitution, the First Amendment of the Constitution, which affirmatively declared rights that we have. And those aren't the only ones, but wanted to build the toolbox in a different way. Government is a creation of the people. We, the people, delegated authority and power and responsibility to the government. In the United States, we did that through the development and ratification of a constitution in which the structure of government is defined. Our system is built on the idea that certain things have to be done, parts of government need to be handled, and this is how to do it. Our structure of government is built on the idea that each part will try to take more power than we want it to have. So we have an underlying concept of checks and balances. So we have a government where the laws are created by the lawmakers in the legislature. The legislature on a national level is Congress. Congress is made up of elected House of Representatives and elected senators. Those are our duly elected lawmakers who have the authority to pass laws that affect all of us. They have that authority because we've given it to them, but they answer to us because they stand for election by us. The laws they develop, however, are not completely finished. They're not implemented until the law goes to the executive branch, which on a national level is the president. The president cannot change the law, but the president can veto that bill, and therefore it would not become law. So the president, the executive, is elected by the people in a separate structure, separate election. That person is also answerable to the people. So we have laws that put governmental restrictions, controls, limitations on us. The president signs the bill and puts the law into effect, and as head of government implements the law. But we, the people, have a third recourse to make sure that the laws are constitutional, because all of our laws must be constitutional, meaning they have to come back to our original concept. Government does not rule us. Government serves us. We delegate power and authority. The laws that are imposed upon us must still comply with the limitations on government that do not unduly or inappropriately restrict our freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly. Our redress for that is through the courts, because the third equal branch of government is the judicial branch, the court system. Ultimately, the highest court is the Supreme Court, but most laws don't need to go to the Supreme Court. They're clearly decided in the courts. Now, of course, most laws are not an issue. They're constitutional, and they don't get challenged in court. But if they do, or if there's a reasonable basis for that, they can go through the courts, and then separately, the courts can rule if that law or some part of that law is not constitutional. That law is done. It has to be rewritten. So, short and sweet, we have checks and balances so that any one part of government doesn't take more power and authority than it should have. Checks and balances allow us, the individual, to stand against government. Checks and balances allow a Jehovah's Witness in 1943, or allowed, not to stand and pledge allegiance to flag of the United States. Because that person on religious conviction said, I do not swear to anyone but God. And even though 1943, World War II was raging, most people stood, that person on religious grounds had the right not to do that. Think about that when it comes to these COVID mandates and restrictions. Think about a number of things when it comes to who are the elected officials. So we'll pick up more on this as we build our toolbox. Think also about who has power in government. The hired people, the appointed officials, and how is their power checked? Who has too much power or is trying to take too much power? Look at executive actions. Who has too much power? Maybe lobbyists? We've got a lot to explore. This is a general overview. Like, share, subscribe, comment, pass this along. We want to build a toolbox. We want to build competency of our own, and most of this is refresher. Even people that didn't pay so much attention in history and government class in high school, most of us were exposed to this, and we have an understanding of it. Let's get better than just simply, oh yeah. Let's know who has power and authority and who is taking too much power and authority from us. See you next time.